This is one of the most important metrics when it comes down to valuing an NFT project, and it is market capitalization. In today's video, we're going to break down market capitalization, the different effects and psychological barriers that it can create, and how it can actually create some FOMO for you so you can dissect it, re-engineer it to make sure that you're not overpaying for a project and you can actually find similar value. Now look, down below I've got chapters so you can fast forward to the sections that you want to help you navigate the video easier. This is not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, so please do your own research before jumping into the NFT space. Also, there will be a whitelist giveaway later on in this video. Like I said, chapters down below, brought to you by PG because we've got the Web3 report. So anyway, market cap or market capitalization is when you take the price and multiply it by the supply. So essentially the floor price by the supply of the collection. Now, most of the older historic collections have a supply of 10,000, but nowadays we are seeing collections of sort of 500, 300, 1,000, 3,000, etc. Now, what this means is it means that it's very hard for a novice person or someone newer to the space to actually kind of get a grasp on the value of a project. And it's something that I have subconsciously kind of done and looked at, and I wanted to vocalize it and kind of bring it forward because I feel like it can play into FOMO, and it can actually lead you down the wrong path when it comes down to moving into a project. Now, the reason that it can lead you down a path and create a sense of FOMO is when there is a reduced supply, there will be a higher floor price. And what this means is when you actually are looking at floor price to floor price on something like OpenSea, you may think that a project is pumping, that a project is valued stupidly high, but when you actually look at the market capitalization, it isn't too high. The smarter traders in the space will actually use market capitalization to kind of see if a project is actually worth something. What we're going to do is jump in right now and break down some of the prices and market capitalizations of some hyped projects that have dropped so you can get an idea where they stack up against each other. Now, when we have a look at some of the older, more historic collections, something like Cool Cats, Doodles, Suzuki, CloneX, Other Deed. Now, what you can see here is with something like Cool Cats, they've got a 2 ETH floor, and with approximately the 10k supply, they've got a market cap of 90, so almost 20,000. Doodles has 62,000, Suzuki, you've got 97,000, CloneX 143,000, but Other Deed, they've actually got a 94,000 sort of ETH market cap. And then when we get to some of the newer hyped projects that have dropped, you've got something like Arc Gobblers that did run up to that 16 ETH floor price with the supply of approximately 1,300. That got to a market cap of 20,000 ETH. And what's crazy about this is it actually had an equivalent, a 10k equivalent of 2.1 ETH. So if you had that in mind, you could understand that Arc Gobblers, even though it was running up very high and people were paying 16 ETH for it, it was actually a 2.1 ETH equivalent. Now with KPRverse, they've got the 10k collection, they've got that 0.9, which is the peak where it ran out to, and the market cap was around 9,000 ETH. Now, Digi 2022 supply, it kind of ran up and peaked out at around 14 ETH, approximately here and there. It then had a market cap of 28,000, and that as a 10k equivalent was a 2.8 ETH. Now, Castaways, which was another little high pop-off, had a supply of 100 and it ran up to around 13 ETH, which means it had a market cap of around 1,300. Now, when you look at Arc Gobblers and Digi, you may think that those floor prices are high, but when you actually have a look at the market capitalization, they are pretty much on par with what something like a Cool Cats would be, what some of those other blue chips would be. So this is a way for you to kind of have a look at those hyped projects, see where they're running and go, hey, is Arc Gobblers as established and does it have enough runway in terms of branding as something like Cool Cats, which has been around for over a year? So this is a very good way to kind of throw in, have a look at the market cap, but also have a look at what the equivalent ETH price is as opposed to a 10k collection to kind of see if you would pay that when it comes to the project. So it's actually very crazy when everything gets onto a level playing field, and it gives you an idea of what a project is actually worth and to see if it's actually worth moving into. Now, the reason that I think it is important to start to look at market capitalization, especially when a project is pumping, is you can then look at a project and think of its future value and the value of where it can kind of go within said pump. What you can then do is also look at a previous project within the similar hype level, within that similar genre, and see where it ran to as a a peek in terms of market capitalization, and then also run those numbers for yourself. Now, what this means is it means that you can then see if there is a lot of runway up there, so you can kind of take that gamble, hedge your bet, and actually kind of move into that project, or you could actually hold back and hold off because it looks like it has capped out. Now, look, I'm not saying that you should obey market capitalization 100% of the time and to a T, but what this can do, especially pre-launch, give you an idea of where a project might maybe actually running to and what people are going to be throwing capital at the project and where it can be capped out, because once you get to a very large, heavy market capitalization, the savvy traders in the space will think that the project is overvalued and then start to sort of deleverage themselves, move themselves out, and kind of make some plays to kind of take some profits, which can then lead to a cascade effect and essentially leave you holding the bag. Welcome to the Web3 Report, brought to you by PG. Now, in the past week, we have seen Meta, in particular Instagram, actually move into the NFT space and actually do some drops. And one of the most notable drops was Drifter. He has got a crazy collection on OpenSea, but he's actually done a drop through Instagram. Now, this sold out in like 3 seconds. It was very crazy, very fast, and the resale values on this were very, very crazy. So this meant that those that had seen what had happened previously with Reddit, when a big organization kind of moves in and lets people buy some NFTs, when those people saw the opportunity with Instagram, they were able to kind of move in, adopt, and actually kind of profit off being a first mover. Now, what this means is it means that those that weren't previously exposed to the NFT market are getting exposure to digital collectibles, etc., NFTs. And this is starting to normalize the idea of digital ownership. And I think this is very smart for a business like Meta. It also helps with some of their sort of top line revenue with the fact that they are able to act as a launchpad and kind of launch these projects. And where this will trickle down and filter to is creators that have these large communities on platforms like Instagram, and then hopefully move on to other platforms later, will be able to start to sell some of their art, sell some collectibles, and you will start to see power go back to creators, and these platforms actually enabling creators to connect with their audience in a different way. And I think this is a great big step forward. Now, if you are interested in taking your Web 2 brand over to Web 3, you can actually reach out to PG. They are experts within the space of bridging Web 2 to Web 3. There is a link down below to their Twitter account. Reach out to them on Twitter, send them a DM, and they will be in touch. Now, next up, the Haas Formula 1 team has actually announced a partnership with OpenSea, and this will include production of NFTs and cross-promotion during race events where OpenSea logos will appear on the Haas F1 team cars. Now, this will enable F1 fans to actually get more involved in the sport itself, and it will help them connect on a deeper level. Now, while not all partnerships between crypto and sport have been successful, I see this as a big leap forward in turning people's attention to actually OpenSea. I think it's a very smart move by OpenSea, because people will see OpenSea, they will see the F1, people will start to go for it, and then I can see F1 and OpenSea kind of getting together. So on the Explore page, you are starting to see more and more of the F1 collectibles, and people will start to then be normalized to the fact that they can actually buy something from teams that they like at the same way that they would buy hats, that they would buy merchandise, jerseys, things like that. They can actually start to buy digital collectibles, and I think this is a great move forward, and it's a very strategic move by OpenSea themselves, and I think it is a very interesting aspect. Now we're getting to the good part, the whitelist giveaway brought to you by PG. We are giving away 3 whitelist spots for Plutoverse. So drop the word Pluto below in the comments and I'll draw a winner within the next 24 to 48 hours. Also drop your Twitter handle so it's easier to find the winners. Good luck. So that is the Web3 Report brought to you by PG, empowering people, incubating businesses. So right now, you're most likely thinking, yeah, Nate, I know about market cap. Why are you bringing this up to me? Why do you think it is important? One thing that I have seen is in the height of FOMO, people are kind of moving into projects thinking that they're going to run up. When you look at something historically like Dogecoin, people think it's going to run up to $1 to $100, but they aren't taking into account market capitalization. The same thing with Ethereum, the same thing with Bitcoin. When you hear about the flippening of Ethereum and Bitcoin, it's not about the price of Ethereum, but it's about the market capitalization. Within the crypto space, people are much more aware of market capitalization, and I think within the NFT space isn't spoken enough about. I think bringing it to your attention, even if you know about it, just bringing it to the forefront of your attention will make you act smarter, will make you act more mature when it comes down to moving in and out of projects. You can then see when a project may be undervalued as opposed to its peers, and then also see where a project may be overvalued when it kind of hits sort of a momentum and it hits a bit of that FOMO and blow off top pump. Now look, another key point when it comes to market capitalization is the pre-sale event. So when we look at the supply and the price that the project actually wants to mint at, you can see if a project is worth it before the actual mint kicks off. Not necessarily run up in the pump afterwards, but if you can see a project that is going to have a market capitalization of 100 ETH and you think that that kind of project could sit in a 250 ETH level, you can kind of see that you can move into it. If they are selling their sort of NFT at a 200 ETH level and you only think it is a 100 ETH project, you can then kind of move forward and hold off and sit off on that project and know that any sale that happens, it won't be appropriately priced. I think pricing projects appropriately to your research and to how the market is actually adopting projects is a very smart move, especially when you get to very low supply projects or very high supply projects. So hopefully this gave you a little bit of an insight into a way that I like to think and a way that I like to dissect projects just so that I can act safer, especially in bearish times like these. If you found value in this video, please consider hitting up the subscribe button, and while you're down there, also hit up the like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.